How can you not?
It is, I'm here as a paranormal investigator, right, first, but we were talking about this earlier. I don't want to get too far off topic, but it's like it's a movie town. Like it's a town you would see like on a Hallmark.
Yes.
That perfect little quiet.
And I don't think I've ever been to another downtown quite like what we have here.
Everybody's friendly.
Yeah.
The food is great vibes everywhere. Every place I have been into, it just feel like
everybody knows everybody.
And I feel like that's why a lot of people will start to move.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So I've heard it's growing like crazy.
The past 14 years I've been here, if you would have seen what downtown was like when I first moved here,
right,
to what it is now, it would literally blow your mind.
So we've talked about quite a few things.
Mm-hmm.
How long? And what is the name of this place? For
So
people watching.
This is my salon. It's called the Salon Middle. This is my second location. I had a lot of activity in my first location, and
we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
What you mean by activity?
And I wasn't aware that there was anything here when I signed the lease. I heard some of the history, and the previous store owner let me in on the main sheet called William, and that's when things started to kind of click what was going on around here.
And how long have you had this particular location?
So
been here?
We have been here just almost a year and a half now. Yeah.
And how old do you think this? Not just this building, but this whole. They've got to kind of be similar in age. This whole kind of area. Would it go back to the Civil War? Or?
Yes, it does. Mm-hmm.
So these are really old buildings.
So there's a lot of stories about, things being, there was a Civil War hospital over here, and it used to be a school, and they always have stuff going on, or where they kept, the prisoners, or
when we say stuff going on, you mean
paranormal. So all that definitely happened around here, and I think that's why. And New Bern was actually the first capital of North Carolina. And
it runs deep.
It runs real deep.
Right,
the history is very, very deep here.
And we talked about this too. I've been a paranormal investigator now for almost 20 years, or maybe more now.
Mm-hmm.
I lose track at this point.
Yeah.
So, but I'm almost more fascinated by the stories and history as I am doing an actual. I never get tired of that. I love the story. Yeah, never. It's always intriguing to me. And you have stories.
Oh, yes, we do.
So let's start. You and the next door folks have possibly something in common.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
So we were once one building. At one time, this was known as Madam Moore, and it was her brothel. And so her husband had a bar down here, and she had it to where a deal with the sheriff.
Of course she did.
Yeah, of course. As long as the men couldn't access the women from in the bar, she was allowed to run her brothel. So if you see my ceiling over here, that's what the ladies, I have the open ceiling, and they'd stand up there and do the little can and shake their legs.
Really?
So the men would have to go out back to get upstairs.
Huh.
So this wall was put here. We're not really quite sure when, but kind of by the way that the storefront changed, when you look back at the buildings and you realize, oh, it's the same building, I would say probably about 50s, 40s, 50s.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea the history of this building was so rich as much, as the next door neighbors.
Yeah.
So what sticks out the most that you feel is in common? We feel like there's one entity.
Yes.
So I've heard their side.
Yes.
I'd like to hear more.
So they called him Charlie. I was told his name was William. What I do know about Miss Mary Moore is that her last husband, his name was William, and I do think that's who ran the bar down here. So we always called him William, switched it to Charlie when they did. I'd say some things he really likes to play games. And it's nothing maniacal.
It's one of the hardest words for me to say, but you know what I'm talking about?
Malevolence.
Yes, thank
it's
you.
just like, hey, I'm here.
Right.
So I am very particular will check them each time I go out there, come back in, move something a little bit. There was one night where I came in, and I have a rule: when you leave, you have to make sure your chair is all the way down and facing the mirror. I had just fixed all of them, went out to do my final check in the window, came back in, they were all over the place. So I just walked back through, I faced them all back to the mirrors, locked them, and I left.
I want to stop you right there because I know how you are from what you have told me. How meticulous you are, because this store is very well known,
Yes.
and you are meticulous about your mood
Yes.
in here, and you know where everything is like the back of your hand.
Literally.
That's for what you have been telling me, for what I've just seen.
I mean, my employees, they'll
your
play
demeanor,
tricks on me, they'll move something and they'll see me tilt it right back immediately.
So you know exactly, you can remember, hey, that was not like that one.
But when I came, I mean, it was a 30 seconds, 30-second adventure outside. Back inside, I came in here, every chair was flipped which way. And I was just like, okay, well, we're done here. Let me fix these chairs, and they do have a locking mechanism. So I locked them in place and I left. And then most recently, me and one of my employees were standing outside. We both had a key in our hand, and we're chit-chatting after the day for a few minutes. And we go lock the door. And it's locked. It was already locked.
Wow.
And we just kind of looked at each other, and I said, Charlie.
Or Charlie.
I said, go next door. And that next morning, I got a video from the owner next door of when they had their major event that went viral.
So you've I got these chills. So, because I was called in next door due to the major event.
Yes.
But now we're putting the puzzle together. I had no idea of the build-up leading to the event. So this is interesting. It's like the plot thickens.
Yes, it does.
You know what I mean? So now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of the main event, or the big event from next door, which
I think
that's really interesting.
We just sent him back and forth.
Right.
So when I was doing construction here, there was no one next door.
Right.
And the lights always flickered. And I'm like, oh, it's an old building, and my electrician couldn't figure it out.
Right.
As soon as we opened, they started construction next door, it stopped. But when they opened up, it started again. And in my brain, I was like, oh, okay. I feel like anytime we're doing any type of changes, that activity builds. So,
and they feel the same next door. I do know that. And we've talked about this off camera. You've been telling me about other things, and I know some more about some other experiences you've had. And we both feel that, just in general, when you have a place that has activity, certain activities can cause those entities to be more
active.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to remodeling or just loud noises in general that they may or may not like. And it may not necessarily be negative activity, just activity in general. Yeah. So what are a couple of the most, you've already kind of told, what's your top one of one
Our
or two?
top one that's an everyday event.
Right.
When you first walked into the salon,
So which was really weird because in my mind, it happened so fast. I kind of felt something was off.
Yeah.
But as a paranormal investigator, I'm also, we've talked about this too off camera. I'm the kind of, and a lot of teams are like this. I try to debunk everything first, right? Science first, debunk first. So when things like that happen, it takes a minute to register for me and also I don't want to say anything to anyone about it because I don't know if it's the first time that would have happened, right? And so should I or do I get information first?
It's his favorite game to play. There's a client coming in the door. I'm gonna open it and close it. Oh, just kidding.
Wow.
So yeah.
So that's a reoccurring.
It's an everyday thing.
Now I'm gonna ask you this: Does he open it more for men or women, or no different?
No difference, and sometimes he'll just open it just to lay.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Interesting. So that's a regular occurrence.
An everyday occurrence, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, opening and closing. And so, what would be one of your other tops?
So there was one where, I was told by another very famous medium, not to really say anything. And I knew they were going to do some work next door.
Right.
And I had told him when I was leaving, like, hey, just don't go over there tomorrow night. You don't want to be bothered, da da da. Next morning, my staff comes in, my station, everything was out of it. Everything was out of my station.
Wow.
And everything was off of my cart that I use, including my shears. Everything was out. So it was like, okay, I got you, but I don't know what I want to do. So I'm going to mess with you first, and I'll probably go mess with them. So.
You almost have to wonder if he's enjoying the back and forth game.
I think he does. I honestly do, because for me to say.
Not that he's because I've heard some say he doesn't like the wall, but what if he's just doesn't care if the wall's there, he just likes messing with either side no matter if the wall's there or not. It's a dog.
I think it's a game for him.
Yeah.
Because for him to lock the door and me say, Charlie, go next door.
Right.
And then, do what he did, and it was caught on camera. When I saw that the next morning, I was like, oh God, that was my fault.
Right. Because even when I was next door as a paranormal investigator, I was there overnight, all night, and I'm a very passive investigator, and I had some interesting experiences, but nothing, like angry or over the top, but just enough to go, okay.
Just to make you question.
But too many to make me, if I've done this again for a long time, if it's a one or two thing, one-off, whatever, I usually just dismiss that as coincidence, unless other things happen around it. But there were so many little things that I was just like, okay, maybe there's actually something going on here.
I mean, he's never done anything that's made me, want to run out the door screaming.
I didn't feel that way the whole night I was there. Nothing over the except for one guy, a passerby, about 4:30 in the morning, stuck his head in front of the glass, trying to figure out what was going on. It was all dark clothes, and so that kind of was a moment for me. So I'm not, yes, exactly, you get it. So that was a moment, but then he walked out and walked away. He was just curious, but it got me for a minute. But other than that, I don't feel that
he does like to,
negative with that.
One thing that just kind of bothers my girls, it doesn't bother me, I'm used to it,
Right.
but he will yell in their ear, like their name.
So they're hearing disembodied voices.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So like every once in a while, Laura, and I'm like, oh, it's him. It's just me. And then a lot of whistling. A lot of whistling.
I heard, nobody knows this yet. You're the first person to know it. I heard 2 of those back there at our spot last night.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was mechanical. I wrote it off as a mechanical malfunction.
Was it in the back?
Yes.
So where you were sitting when you said you felt something,
Yeah.
those are cut in the same spot,
Right.
back to back. And I said, I had him that near because I could see him in there.
And it was loud.
And
It was
it's
a loud
always
whistle.
from right there.
Right.
I'll be mixing color, and it's boom.
And it's like for about 10 seconds. And it's just done. Look.
Yeah.
That's what happened. That happened twice last night.
It's so crazy when you become so, I guess, accustomed to it, where it's like, oh, I don't even get the chills anymore.
Right.
I'm just like, oh, someone experienced it too. I'm excited that I'm not,
Right.
losing my mind.
Right.
Because there is so much that happens all the time. Like there's so many stories, and then you really do become used to it.
So when I come back up, I'd like you to hear those, if you don't mind. I'd like you to hear those whistles.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
we caught that on video and audio.
Oh.
So we've definitely got it on, at least on audio for sure. That's crazy. Because I just wrote it off. I was like, what is that? All these. Because I'm used to odd bar noises or, business noises or home noises. They explained to me before we go this is an ice machine that happens, this, that, we have two different kinds, they make it. But that just seems so random, you know?
And for there, we don't have anything in here. We have blow dryers.
Right.
That's probably the loudest thing that makes noise. Our little refrigerator runs.
Right.
Other than that, we don't have something that's making noise that is over here. But that always gets me every time, especially if I'm here late at night and I don't have the music up, which I do generally now turn it up to
For a reason, I get it.
where people walk by and they're like, "What's going on in there?"
Right,
She's having her own party.
Right.
But when that whistling happens, I'm like, "Yep, time to go."
That is weird.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's loud. It's not like, most time people with disability environment, usually just right, with that, it's really,
And he doesn't just like whisper the name in your ear. It's like Laura.
right,
It'll be very loud, very sharp,
Right.
to where I think someone's calling my name.
wow.
And I'm like, what? Nope, I'm there.
That's crazy. Wow, I'm glad you told. Now, kind of like, I really wish I'd have paid more attention to that now. So that'll be. I'll let them know next door.
Yeah, I had no idea either. So
Right.
that, like I said, there's all these different puzzle pieces because New Bern is so old
Right.
that it is hard to even find any history about this building.
Right.
What was the original address before the two were separated? What did it look like before the two were separated?
Right.
The history of Matt Moore has been like literally wiped clean off the internet.
Of course, because of the activity.
I
Of
was
course.
here,
Yeah.
let's see, I think second,
Not paranormal activity,
Yeah.
because of the other activity,
but
probably.
I would say, I was here 12 years. I just thought, the road that's named after her, Madam Moore's Lane, I just was like, Madam Moore's Lane. Until I met with my landlords and they talked about Madam Moore and everything upstairs that they found when they bought the building, and I was like, oh, I had no idea Madam Moore was an actual madam.
Right.
It was one of those moments where you're like, oh, I feel a little bit dumb now.
Right,
But
right.
no one talks about it.
No, and that's
She was New Bern's first
madam
female
thing like that. It's an
millionaire.
old school term,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
a lot of people have forgotten that term, or don't like younger generations are not familiar with that term. So
And I just kind of, and the way everyone talks to her, they say I talk fast. Or the way they say, Madam Moore's like, I just sound like Madam Moore.
I say not all the younger generation. I'm sure there's some of them that know that term, but a lot of them probably don't.
And I was so intrigued by that. And when I came in and I saw his face, and they were talking about the ceiling and what they found upstairs when they were making the apartments, I was like, I love history so much. I'd be a history teacher if I would have made enough money doing it.
Right.
But I love it so much, I just want to know everything. So the fact that I can't find out all the details I want to know about this building when it was one, and even while it was separate, it was kind of crazy.
Right.
So,
No, I get it.
yeah.
But it's interesting at the same time.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, look. Just thank you so much for sharing this with us and letting me interview you,
Yeah.
and telling me and our viewers about the history and the back and forth. I
Yeah.
find it fascinating.
Yeah, I'm glad we were able to put some pieces together that you wouldn't have known.
The build up to the finale is really complete now for anyone who sees this versus what they've already seen.
Well, now we gotta figure out if his name is Charlie or if it's William.
Right, that's the next goal.
Yeah.
What is his name really?
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much.
Oh, it was great meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah,
Talking
I've loved this
well,
whole experience.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
It's just been a great, from start to here, it's been great. Everybody's been great, the town's great, food is amazing here. Come to New Bern, North Carolina,
Yeah.
enjoy some
No
food.
one knows of it.
Enjoy the history and,
Yeah, we're on the water.
it's just a great town.
I always tell everyone it's the Asheville of the Eastern part of the state.
It really is, So, thanks again and thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. I appreciate it.
Looking forward to seeing what else we can uncover.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun.
All right.
More adventures to come.
Absolutely.